Welcome into your Tiny Love reading. I am T from Tiny Cheeks Tarot, coming in to give you your love message for right now. So, we have three different piles. We also have three different crystals. So, we have kyanite, we have a tiger's eye skull, and we have green calcite. So, pick the pile or piles or crystal or crystals that resonate with you, and I will see you in your reading. Welcome in pile one. Thank you so much for reading with me. Before we get into your love message, some church announcements right here. If you are not already subscribed to the things, subscribe to the things, especially if by the end of your reading, you are fucking with what I'm saying. Let's get into your reading. So, you chose kyanite. This is a really good stone for meditation, for grounding, for enhancing your intuition. And then your message card. So to start off, we are using the Black Hollywood Romance Oracle deck. The first card you have is Have Faith. Trust and believe that love is here to stay this time around. Don't let fear or doubt interfere. Trust the divine. And I apologize, y'all, for the ring light. The next card you have is Patience. Why the rush? There's no need to rush divine timing. Enjoy the journey because it is worth the wait. Okay. So coming in, I feel like either you may be in a situation where you haven't dated in a while and you're ready for love, or you're looking for love, or you're like, how come I'm not in a relationship yet? How come it's been so long? You're kind of wondering what the fuck is going on, and they feel like your spirit guides, right? Your team feel like you may be rushing it. And I know that when I say that, for some people that feels like, bitch, rushing it, like how am I rushing it when it's been forever? You know what I mean? And also, um even if it's been forever since you've been with someone that you really trust, like love, things like that, it feels like they don't want you to rush and just have anything. They don't want you to just rush into something and either get into a situation where you're not fully healed and it doesn't work out in that respect, or you find a situation that lands you into similar circumstances that you've been in before, right? There's a way in which you cannot see some of the signs sometimes and put yourself back into certain situations. Okay, let's get a little bit more cards to get a little bit more of a message. So what else in terms of love and having faith and patience? Because I, like I said, I know you're like, girl. Okay, I had two cards that fell out. We have security. What is yours will always be yours. This love is divine. Excuse me. This love is secured by the divine. And then it's a vibe. Enjoy the good vibes and energy with this person because they are like no other. Okay. So I'm gonna start with the people that I feel like haven't dated in a while, right? If you haven't dated in a while, part of the reason that they're telling you to have patience and have faith is because they want you to be with somebody that you feel like you can trust, that makes you feel safe. Like I'm hearing the Cardi B song Safe in my head over and over and over again. And I feel like there are ways in which you have been in situations or in relationships with people that you haven't felt safe, or that you haven't been in a relationship with someone you felt safe with in a long time. And so part of the reason why they're not allowing you just to kind of date anyone or be with anyone. Wait, I apologize, y'all, about the light. I had to fix it. That shit was, it was taking me down. Okay, anyway. So like I was saying, part of the reason why you have to wait right now is so that you don't wind up in a situation where you don't feel trusting and secure where you don't feel safe. Like I was saying, I felt like I can hear the Cardi B song Safe from her new album in my head. And excuse me, there's a way in which you're being pushed to wait for the person that aligns the most with you. And like I said, I know that for people, it's like you don't want to hear that. But the card that I have on the bottom is life partner. This person is someone that you can enjoy life with wholeheartedly. You two can get through anything. So there's this feeling that the next person that you really vibe with, the next person that you really date, the next person that you really encounter that feels like a vibe, that, you know, feels like someone you could really feel whole with in a sense, like that you would trust. Like if you have an instance with this person, like again, because they're telling you have patience, it may not be like within the next 2 weeks, but if you have an instance, you meet somebody and they say something like, do you trust me, you know what I mean, and your first reaction is like, you know what, yeah, like this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? And this is part of why they're pushing you to wait, because the next thing that you do may be the last, you know, the last situation that you wind up in, and you don't want to miss that because you're just trying to have something, hold something, you know, be with someone right now, for the right now, when the person that they're holding you out for is forever, right? Let's get a few more cards and see a little bit more about what you got going on. Okay, so to get a little bit more about why they're having you wait and what you can do while you wait, right? I'm going to use the clarity deck. Also, in between getting these cards and these last cards, the life partner card we pulled for these last cards, I keep hearing Couple of Forevers in my head by Chrisette Michelle. And that's like the energy of what's coming. That's the energy of the love that they want you to wait for. So if you don't know that song, I'll find it. I know I don't have it in my library, but I'll find it and put the link in the video. So let's see why. Okay, they're having you wait. So the first card we have is values. Whoa, sliding. Values. Values. Then we have home life and storyteller. What story do you tell yourself about this area of your life? Where does the story originate, and what meaning do you make of this? Now, before we keep going in here, let me go back a little bit to these cards. Have faith, patience, life partner, security. It's a vibe. I talked a lot about people who haven't dated in a while or looking for somebody. I feel like that's a lot of what this reading is about. If you are somebody who is dating and you're waiting for the person to like make a move, or you're waiting for the person to make a commitment, or you think that it could be something serious, but like things aren't moving in the direction that you feel like they should be moving yet, this still applies to you, right? And the same vein that I said before, part of the reason why they're telling you to have patience, why they're telling you to move slow, why you're kind of in a courting phase, is so that you can see if this person is your security, if they're somebody that you feel like could be your life partner. They're trying to see the same things, right? And so that's part of the reason why it is moving at the pace that it's moving. Okay, so don't get frustrated or get um, in your head about whether they like you, or you know, whether this is something you should be doing or things like that, because you do like this person and you feel comfortable with them. You really feel like it was kind of kismet or divine in a sense. And so don't allow your fears or your anxieties about certain things to like take you to a place with this. Okay, now let's go back into these cards in terms of why they're having you wait, whether that's in a situation or in terms of dating and finding someone. So we had values, home life, and storytelling. So part of the reason that they're having you wait is because there's a way in which you need to figure out what it is that you want from a life partner, right? What it is that looks like security to you, what it is that adds value to your life, right? Because the idea that somebody makes you complete or makes you whole is some bullshit. Like you come as a fully complete person, right? A fully healed, working through, you know, um person with emotions and feelings and all of these things. You come with your own money and your own finances, as well as your own baggage and, you know, your own memories and like all of the things, right? And so all of these things combined add to what you want, who you want, what that looks like in an everyday basis, what that looks like in a long-term basis, what that looks like if you were sick, what that looks like if y'all had a lot of money, what that looks like if you didn't have a lot of money, what that looks like in all of the phases and iterations of life, right? That's why we have the home life in the middle. And so part of this waiting game is for you to really figure that out, right? And I feel like part of you has figured out that out in terms of like maybe how you want to be loved, or that you want someone for this specific thing or that specific thing, but it's deeper than that. And like we have to figure out how their values would align with yours, how the people that you've dealt with before, how their values did not align, how you may have thought that they did, but that, you know, how it came out in the end that they didn't. All of these things so that you can put this in your memory bank in a sense. So when you're going out in the future, you're able to like gravitate towards and pull in people that either align with these things or, you know, don't you don't attract the people that don't align with these things is basically what I'm trying to say. The home life is very important, and the storyteller card to me is very important because part of what these things are talking about is your home life, right? Like, what did marriage look like in your home life? What did relationships look like in your home life? What did interactions between partners look like? What did daily interactions between partners look like in your home life? What does that say about who you are now? What are the things that brings to you that you don't want to um, reciprocate with somebody else? What are the things that brings up that you definitely want someone to have? Like these are part of the things that they're making you wait for because you really, it feels like, don't have a real grip on what that looks like to a general extent. Some people have it, but like there's a way we have to like really dig down deep and kind of get through these stories and through these things that have been ingrained in us to really figure out what we want, what we don't want, so that we have that reflected in the next person that we pick up. Because again, we have the ability for them to be somebody that's long term, somebody that really can fulfill these things. So part of why they're having you have faith and have patience is because you have to figure out what the fuck you want so that you can bring it in. You can't just ask for someone or something. You don't just want a warm body. I know you think you might in some cases, but we don't. I know in some cases we think like we want to get married right now. I want to just ask me to marry him right now. You don't. Him, her, they, right? You don't. They need to get themselves together, just like you getting yourself together. Y'all need to figure out your own things internally so that you can come together in a really cohesive, long lasting way. Okay, let's get some more cards. Okay, so if you've read with me before, you know that I do not just give you a weather report. I'm going to give you actionable steps on what to do. So we already have the digging into the story you tell yourself, the story about the how relationships reflected in your home life and how that's reflected into your relationships. The story you tell yourself also is about the story you tell yourself in terms of future love. Do you tell yourself I'm never gonna find, or everybody ain't shit, or you know, do you build yourself up? Do you sit with hope? Do you have faith? Do you know that something's coming, right? That's also about the story you tell yourself. So let's get into what you can do in the interim. They're telling you to have faith and patience and wait. So how can we best align with what they're asking us to do in this time, besides what we already talked about? And I'm using the Neo Tarot for this. Okay. Interesting. And then let me just see what's on the bottom. So we have the Eight of Wands, the Devil, and then the Ace of Cups. Move these down a little bit. Okay. So part of what we can do in the interim while we're being asked to wait is to remove the things that that tempt us in a sense, right? Number one is removing the shackles of the shit that we talked about, the things that hold you back from love. So part of that is the habits that you may bring to a relationship, or you may bring to dating, such as like being overly picky, or bringing a negative attitude into dating, or putting yourself in positions also with this is like putting yourself in positions where you're gonna, you know, that you're not gonna like what you get or something like that. So like for example, it feels like if you don't like online dating, like why do you keep swiping? You're not going to find anybody there because you don't really like that. You don't, that's not what you like to do. So that also feels like it, like part of it. Like stop doing things that you know either aren't going to bring you the fruit that you're looking to bear. So that also may look like for some people, if there are certain places that you go that you know that like the caliber of person that you're looking for now is not there, then stop looking for people there. You know, like if that makes sense for somebody, then stop looking for people there. Like, you know, that that's part of it. It also, like I said, has to do with your habits. And so if you want somebody that it's one of those things where it's like you have to embody the things that you want from somebody. So if you want somebody that's going to be healthy and takes care of their body, or that somebody that helps people and takes time for others, and you know, et cetera, then you have to do these things as well. You can't just expect for somebody to come into your life and have all of these fucking qualities and think that it's cool that you don't do any of the things that you wanted them to do. Like they probably want somebody that's just as caring or just as fit or just as smart or just whatever, you know, fashionable, whatever the thing is. And so part of it is like you stopping the things that don't have you embody the person that you want, right? You have to partially, in a sense, be the person that you want to bring in. And so you have to stop doing the things that keep you from bringing, that keep you from being the person that you want to bring in whatever ways that looks like, in whatever habits that looks like, right? And whatever thought processes that looks like. We also have the Ace of Cups card on the bottom, and you have this hand coming out of the cloud and lotus with the cup and like the spring. And so again, it's like bringing back in the have faith, and part of what we can do right now is believe, right? Part of what we can do is believe that it's going to come. Part of what we can do is write down all of the best qualities that you want from a person, write down all the things that you would want to do on like some manifestation energy, right? And even like in a love working kind of way, you know what I mean? Like speak it into your water, speak it into like the things that you ingest into yourself. Because it's about like feeling love around you, being in a space of love, seeing, I feel like I say this in other love readings I've done, seeing through the eyes of love in a sense, but like you can't, you can't call in this energy if you're not sitting in it. Like if you're not believing that you can have it, if you're not embodying it within yourself, you know? And so part of what we can do right now is to fill your own cup, is to pour love into yourself, is to pour into like the things that you do, and put love in everything that you do, but also like do things that you love, so that love is all around you, literally, like it's all around you. And so that you can only call in the things that vibe with that same energy. Okay. And then even under that is the Page of Pentacles card, which is like, um to me it's like putting light on the things you want to do, but more so like, what am I trying to say? Okay, so let's finish your reading with some words of wisdom. I believe this deck is called the Wild Goddess Oracle. I do not remember, but I will put it in the video description. Whoa. All right. Okay. So we have the detective. Look past the veil of illusion that someone is trying to pull over your eyes. That someone could be you. So examine your assumptions. And we definitely talked about that in terms of the story that you tell yourself, in terms of the things that have happened to you, in terms of the things that you saw when you were younger, and how those things, um, you know, colored how you've moved through relationships, and especially in ways that you've moved through relationships and that you know haven't wanted to, or things that you have accepted, or things that you believe that we're trying to eradicate now. Our last card is the manifester. Monitoring your inner dialogue and using quantum affirmations daily can help you to make your desired life changes. So, again, we talked about this. Part of what we're doing is feeding into ourselves, pouring into ourselves. It's the story that we tell ourselves about love. It's the story that we tell ourselves about what we can have. It's the story of how we're loving on ourselves, how we're feeding ourselves with love, how we're looking at things with love, and how doing these things and adding these changes and speaking to yourself in a certain way and speaking about your life and your love life in a certain way will definitely bring in this energy that they're saying that you can have in terms of long lasting, um, secure partnership. So, this is the message that you need for love right now. Please let me know how this message resonates. Please let me know if it makes sense. Let me know what you think, what you got going on. If you would like your own reading, definitely book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. I have two offerings right now, that y'all can check out if you haven't already. Like I said in the beginning, subscribe to our Substack, listen to our monthly, collective readings and our fairy tale readings, and follow me on all the socials. Share with anybody who needs a message. If you have another reading, I will see you there. If not, thank y'all so much. I will see you in the next reading. Welcome in pile 2 to your tiny love reading. Let's get into what you chose. So the first thing we have is your crystal. You chose the tiger's eye skull baby. It's one of my favorite crystals. And then let's get into your love messages, starting with the Black Hollywood Romance Oracle deck. So you have final shot. Now is the time. The clock is ticking. If you never shoot your shot, then you will always wonder, what if? Oh, wait, let me move it so y'all can see it. And then we have a disharmony. There seems to be some disconnect. Use this time to address any issues to restore harmony in this relationship. Okay. So it seems like there's almost two different messages going on here. Um, so similar to pile 1, I'll talk to people who are in relationship and people who are not. So starting with people who are in relationship here. Again, let me move these down so y'all can see them. This ring light is taking me down. Anyway, so people who are in relationship, it seems as though you're at a place right now where there's it's okay. It seems like right now is the time where we either put up or shut up. Like that is the best way to describe it. It seems like there may be or has been some, like not so cool interactions and or literally cool interactions, like y'all been cool off each other, you know what I mean? Like you haven't been interacting the same way, you haven't talked to each other the same way, you don't spend time the same way, and even if you do, you can feel the distance. Like it feels cold, like there feels like aspects of it that are cold, and it feels like it's not too late if you do want to save it, but there has to be a concerted effort to do so. Okay. Right now, there is the energy, the message is coming in right now so that you know if you want this, if y'all still want to do this and be here and have it be better than it is right now and not just be going along to not even really get along, right? Then right now is the time to figure out what the hell we're doing, figure out why we're doing this, figure out what we need to do to make it better, kind of thing. Okay. And the opposite direction of that, if you're somebody that's single and either so if you're somebody that's single and there's somebody that you're interested in or you've been looking at or you've been thinking about for months, um it feels like part of it is like this is your time to shoot your shot because you're not happy with what you've been getting or who you've been dating or who you've been finding, and it feels like if you don't say something now, then like it may be a missed opportunity. You know, there may be opportunity to actually date this person or see if you romantically connect with this person, but because you're too afraid to talk to them, and part of why you may be too afraid to talk to them feels like um you talking down to yourself or you talking yourself out of it for some reason that has to do with you, less with them and more with you, right? And even if it's with them, it's like because they may like this or that or the third, but it's still like putting yourself down in the same sentence or in the same aspects of it. Okay. The other side of this, like I said, if you're somebody who's single, it's time, it feels like it's time to shoot your shot in the sense of like going out and just being in life and trying to date and talking to people, because it feels like you've been almost like you've been going on this path for so long that if you don't try now, you'll just get so comfortable with being by yourself and not being with somebody and convincing yourself that you don't want relationship and you don't really want love, that you may never really go after it. That it may take you even longer to to be in it because you keep telling yourself you don't really want it. Okay. So let's get a little bit more about the love message. We're not going there yet. We're going to still use the Hollywood romance oracle. Okay. So we have first we had divine partner pop out, which we got in the last pile. This person is someone that you can enjoy life with wholeheartedly. You two can get through anything together. We then have divine union. Congratulations, it's time to celebrate. Both you and your partner have healed and learned the important lessons to allow this union to manifest. And then on the other side of that, we have courting. The period of development towards a romantic relationship is important. This time will help you both see if marriage is in the cards. Okay. So again, taking it like two by two, right? Um, for the people who are in situations. Part of why you may want to reconcile or do what you can to make the situation work is because this could definitely be somebody that you can be with long term. Could definitely be somebody that you could be in a marriage or a long-term life partnership with, right? It feels like once we kind of heal and get through these things, which is why we have this courting card, even though this is kind of not for you, but it is still for you. um, Even though we have these disagreements and we're kind of in this rough patch, that's kind of what marriage is, right? It's going through these places and these phases and being able to come together and work through them and remember why you're here and why you love each other to begin with, and knowing that this is not always where we're going to be, and knowing that that's not always where you want to be, and being able to stick with it and move yourselves to a better space, right? And so if you're able to do that where you've been and actually come together in this time and talk it out and do these, work it out in the ways in which you would in a partnership, then this really can turn into something that is what you want it to be. That is what you thought it would be, a long term, forever situation or a marriage committed situation, right? For the people who are dating, we have this courting card, right? This period of development towards a romantic relationship is important. This time will help you both see if marriage is in the cards. So if you are somebody who's single and not dating right now, again, part of why they want you to get the fuck out there is so that you can figure out, what does marriage material look like? What do you want in a relationship? What, you know, do you like? What don't you like? Like, do you actually want love? The answer is yes, you do. You do. Even if you're telling yourself you don't. Okay. Like, you do. That's what they're saying. So we may need to like get out there and just have fun so that we can figure out that we do, just that in general. I feel like also same thing for you guys, like I was saying for them. Putting yourself out there, dating different people, figuring out what you like can definitely lead you to the person that will be your long-term situation. And it feels like this is definitely the underlying message of why we're doing this love reading, because pile one got a very similar message, right? And it feels like there are people who may be feeling like that's never going to be in the cards for you, or that's not something that you should be even thinking about or looking forward to because you're not even close to that, right? But we it's like it's like how they say you dress for the job that you want, not for the job that you have. And it's like, this is what we're doing. You have to go out and be and look for what you want and embody what you want so that you can have it come to you, so that you can find it, you know what I mean? But in sitting and pushing it off or thinking negatively about it, or um acting like you don't want what you want, you're just further building bigger and stronger walls around you that will keep it from you. And ultimately, you definitely want some kind of relationship, even if it's not necessarily romantic. Some people may want partnership aspects, right? But like, there are different ways that relationships look, and in that semblance you do want a relationship. So it's time to get out of your box, bring down your walls, okay, and put yourself out there. So let's pull some cards as to why we are having like either the block in relationships, or why we're having the block in terms of um, wanting to date in the single aspect. Okay, so for this part of the reading, we are using the Clarity deck. So let's get some cards and see where the block. Okay, hope. Okay, so we have hope. What big dreams do you have for yourself? In what ways do you stop yourself from dreaming before you can even start? And we just talked about that. And what are you trying to protect by doing so? The next thing you have is sexuality. You then have consider the source. You are receiving strong messages from someone. How is what they're saying uniquely connected to who they are and what they're all about? Do you respect and admire their choices and behaviors or not? Consider the source of these messages as you evaluate them and decide how you want to relate to and learn from them in this moment. The next card we have is health, and then elders. How do your fears, beliefs, and relationships with elders in your life hold you back? What do you want to shift? And with whom do you need to speak in order to move towards the highest good? Okay. So part of what I asked what was what is holding us back, right? So starting with the hope, what big dreams do you have for yourself, right? I talked about people talking themselves out of what they want, and some people not sitting in the idea that it's in the cards for them, or that they can have this because it's either you've had such shitty situations, or it's been so long since you've had something real, and or the situation that you're in right now just feels like y'all are so out of alignment or so far away from what you could hope and dream, if you did hope and dream, that you can't even see that, right? And it feels like the health of where you are now, just bringing in this health card, right? The health of where you are now is not the the litmus for the health that you may want to be, right? Just because you um, feel a certain way in your body, and I'm just using health as an example, just because you feel a certain way in your body right now doesn't mean that that's always how you're going to feel. But if you work towards, what you need to do to make you feel healthier, in terms of getting rid of the things that are making you feel unhealthy, or like building your strength, or whatever it is, that you need to do in terms of that situation, then you will get to a place of full strength or health or whatever it is. But you have to believe that you can, so that you can put in that work, right? And so part of it is you really sitting with why you don't believe this, why you don't have these dreams for yourself. And then once you sit with that, sitting in the, if I did have dreams for myself, if I did, if I put all of the shit that I've dealt with, all of the shit that I've been in aside, right? And I could live in some like real dream world, because it's giving like y'all are giving real Capricorn right now. Like, it's like very black and white. This is what it is. I can't dream. There are no dreams, bitch. Okay. And I need you to be more Pisces. I need you to, like, you know, get Neptunian with it, you know? And like if you were to dream and think big, you know, what would that even look like? Like where would that, you know, where would that lead you? What would that look like? How could that resonate for you, you know? I also say this with the idea that like doing the first part of what I said is easy, but I just wanted to lean into the good because there's a lot of people who lean into like, you know, the glass half empty in a sense. But going back to what I was saying before about why you're stopping yourself from dreaming, it's really important to figure out, like I said, not only why you're stopping yourself from dreaming, but like they said, what you're protecting yourself from, right? What you think you're protecting yourself from, and um, how that might be hindering you. I mean, it's definitely hindering you because you want more, but like in specific ways that that might be hindering you. Okay. We then have sexuality and health next to that. So, like, twofold, right? There are certain people who haven't been able to have this dream for themselves because I feel like you may not be sitting in who you exactly are or what you like or who you like, right? Um, some of this um, has to do with this elders card that we're going to get into, and in terms of the things that have been put on you, in terms of the ways in which you've been made to think about certain things or to feel about yourself in certain ways that deal with your sexuality, and how that's panned out for you. And like I said, in past relationships and in how you've dated and how you haven't dated at all, right? And how you haven't been able to even have the dreams, and how you felt like you've only been able to protect yourself and not been able to really explore what your sexuality looks like, what romance looks like for you. And if you have, it hasn't been in the way that really aligns with what you may actually be looking for or what you may, you know, want to do. So that's a thing, right? For some people, that's like specific to like religious ideation and like things ingrained in you about health in terms of partners. Okay. Like, again, that may be for somebody very specific, but like, that's a thing, and you know what I'm saying. Okay. Um, for people who are in relationships, um, if there's a situation where part of why you have this discord or things have been off has to do with sexual health or a lack of sexual relationship or something like that, then this is a conversation that needs to be had first with yourself. Okay, first with yourself. We're talking what is happening now, what was happening before, how am I being satisfied, how am I not being satisfied, um, how does health relate to these things? Now, that could look like your libido being less because of hormones, or that could look like you being less attracted to each other because of, you know, something, you know, maybe he heavy on the snacks or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just whatever. Um, like something like that. But like that, you need to sit with yourself first and figure out like what is happening, what is it that I'm actually wanting. You know, when I'm sitting with myself and I actually really think about what I want from my sexual relationship and my relationship, what the fuck that looks like. And then coming together, both of y'all having that conversation and then coming together and bringing these concerns, bringing these instances, bringing these ideas and these hopes and these wants to the conversation so that we can work on whatever's happening. Again, this is what marriage is made of, right? This is what divine union and real partnership is made of. It's made of coming together and figuring out what the fuck is going on and being able to, you know, compromise or to um, talk it out or, you know, to do different things that make each other happy, that are allowing us to be, you know, in a union and to fulfill each other's needs, you know? So that may be part of it if you are in relationship, and that may be something that we definitely need to sit down and talk about. And you shouldn't be scared to do this. If this is somebody that you want to be with, if this is your life partner, then you should feel comfortable with that person to have these conversations. And if you don't feel comfortable with them, then that's a whole other thing, you know, that's something else to discuss. So, getting into the last two cards, we have consider the source. You're receiving strong messages from someone. How is what they're saying uniquely connected to who they are and what they're all about? Do you respect and admire their choices and behaviors or not? Con- Excuse me. Consider the source of these messages as you evaluate them and decide how you want to relate to and learn from them in this moment. To me, first, this has to do with the people who are in relationship, right? So this card says to me that there are things that y'all are trying to communicate to each other in ways that don't seem like communication, right? So if somebody's talking to you a certain way or reacting to you in a certain way, then that is indicating something more underlying, okay? If there are things not being spoken or people are more quiet than they used to be, then again, that is something more underlying. And that may have to do with you and your relationship, or it may have to do more with them, and that still needs to be communicated because it affects both of you because you're both in the situation, right? So part of what um this card to me is talking about is actually getting to the heart of what's being said or what's not being said, getting to the heart of what's being communicated, um actually listening to the other person and what they're saying. There may be more talking than listening, right? There may be ways in which you are jaded by the situation, and so you don't believe the things that they say, or you're not actually listening to what they say, or you're listening to respond to what they're saying instead of actually listening actively to what they're trying to say. And again, if we're in a situation where we're at the final shot and we want to make this work, we want to be with this person, then we need to figure out better ways to communicate. We need to be able to actually hear what they're saying and have them actually hear us. And that may mean that we have to communicate in different ways. That may mean you write things down and share letters with each other instead of having um, open dialogue in moments when you really are too activated to do so. That might look like going outside and having tough conversations, or having somebody there that you both trust to be able to mediate these conversations. Like, there are other ways to be able to communicate, there are other ways to be able to understand each other, there are ways and techniques that you can implement, that you can look for, that you can find, there are tests that you can take that'll help you be able to open up and communicate more about certain aspects of what's going on with you personally or them personally, or what's going on within your relationship. And like I said, consider the source to me has to do with like taking into account where you are, like what that means in terms of how you receive what they're saying or how you don't receive what they're saying, how you listen or don't listen, you know what I mean? Like, consider the source of what's actually happening in the moments where you're having conversations, so that you can get to the bottom of why you're not communicating so well. In terms of people who are single, consider the source to me brings us to our elders, right? And so consider the source in terms of why you feel like you may not be able to live or expand or want relationship in a certain way, may have to do with how you've been taught to feel, or how you've been taught to believe, or how you have, like, the things that you've seen in relationships with those in your family in like negative ways, and how that's either reflected in your relationships or how that's really reflected in the way that you then protect yourself from love in general or relationships in general, right? And part of this card with the elders, how do your fears, beliefs, and relationships with elders in your life hold you back? What do you want to shift, and with whom do you need to speak? Part of that has to do with you really having conversations with people, right? And um, not from a place of you did this and you made me like this and blah blah blah, but more so of you understanding where this reflects in you, and then having a conversation with them about that, and having a conversation about how that may reflect to them and where that may come from for your elders, and how that then shaped how they saw situations, right? And being able to actively listen and consider the source and the time periods and all of the factors that goes into what they're saying, to then be able to see how that's reflected in either how you were raised or the things that you were taught or the things that you were told or what y'all were meant to believe in and things like that, and what of those things you actually really do want to take with you. There may be nothing of that shit you want to take with you. You may want to leave all of that shit behind, but also if you're leaving it behind, to an extent it's a blueprint for what you don't want to do, or the things that you know that you need to work on or expand so that you don't have situations like that, right? But it's like really imperative and important that you have these conversations with the people in your family, even if they're not necessarily elders, but like more so peers, so that y'all can maybe see where you have similar um, reflections on relationships or ideas on relationships, or where you have similar experiences that have happened to you that shape where y'all may protect yourselves in similar ways. All of this is information to help you be able to expand and to really sit in what you want and the relationships that you want and the people that you want in whatever ways that looks like. Okay, so let's finish your reading by getting you some words of wisdom. Okay, we're getting your words of wisdom. This is, I believe, the Wild Goddess Oracle. I'm going to put the name of it in the video description. So we have teacher. You would do well to read more and otherwise learn about those who have worked diligently to attain what you seek and succeed. And then the protector. Surround yourself with people who lift you, accept you as you are, believe in your vision and purpose, and bring out the best in you. Okay. So, starting with our first piece of wisdom, right? The teacher. I think part of this has to do with you being able to expand by seeing what others do, seeing how others see love and they view love, seeing different iterations of relationships, and being able to expand yourself by looking into those things. And to me, it says well read. But if you're not somebody that reads, then that could look like you watching either movies with different types of relationships or TV shows that reflect different types of relationships. For example, there's a show that used to be on OWN called Black Love, and there were I feel like 4 or 5 seasons of the show, and there were a number of different people in relationships, some celebrities, some normal people, and they would just talk about how they made it through and how they made it to marriage and different stuff that happened in their relationships, things that can be relatable, things that can be completely not relatable, but they can help you, like I said, start to learn what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what could be, right? There's another show my cousin likes to watch. I think it's called Couples Therapy on Paramount Plus, and that is couples sitting with a therapist and working things out, like certain, I think, like situations that they have in their relationships that are going wrong. So watching that, especially for people who are in relationship, can help you start to have conversations that can help initiate conversations between the two of you to be able to get to the bottom of the issues that y'all have, or to be able to talk about the issues that y'all have in a way that you maybe weren't able to figure out how to do yourselves. But also there are books, you know what I mean, to help you in terms of working with couples and people who aren't in relationship and learning self-love or learning how to um, let go of baggage or love yourself after certain dead end situations or whatever the case. There are all kinds of love, self help, relationship books. So definitely look into, expand your world, give yourself more resources to be able to um, see more and want more for yourself. Okay. And then the protector, we talked about protection all through this reading and how you protect yourself and wall yourself in. But again, surround yourself with people who lift you, accept you as you are, believe in your vision and purpose, and bring out the best in you. Have the believe that you have the discernment that all of the things that you've gone through have been enough of a lesson to teach you how not to be in situations that you've been in. And if you don't feel like that, then we go back to this teacher and the resources, right? But within that, we want to be able to surround ourselves with people who can see what we see in us, even if, excuse me, can see what we see in us, and in some cases can see what we don't see in ourselves. Thank you, Spirit. um, and even if those situations aren't in a relationship aspect, right? Even if they're just friendship, that helps to build you. That helps to have you see the type of relationships that you want. Because even though those aren't romantic relationships, those are people who support you and who surround you and who love you in a very specific or certain type of way. And that should be like a branch or like a reflection of the things that you're looking for ultimately in this divine union or in this partnership or in this love that you're going to dream and imagine and write down that you want. So part of the protector is allowing those walls down to allow people in so that you can see that you can be loved and supported, so that you can start to build more of those relationships and bring that in a more romantic way. So these are the words of wisdom that you get. This is your reading, your love message for right now. Definitely let me know how you feel about this message, how love has been treating you, what you think about the message, what steps you're going to implement. If you would like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. I have 2 different offerings right now. If you haven't already, or if you haven't already listened to our Tiny Monthly Collective reading, listen to our fairy tale reading, sign up for the Substack. And if you have another reading, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much for reading with me. I will see you in your next reading. Welcome in pile 3 to your tiny love message. Let's get into your reading. So first you have a green calcite as your crystal. And I'll give y'all some information about each crystal in the video description. And then we'll get into your cards. So we're using the Black Hollywood Romance deck. The first card you have is family and friends. The support of family and friends may help strengthen this connection. You then have clarity. Someone finally sees the answer that was always right in front of their eyes. The vision is clear. Therefore, what is to come shall be clear too. Okay, so just starting with these 2 cards, it feels like there may be a situation where the the love that you're looking for, the person that you're looking for, either is already in your circle, like in your orbit. They're a friend, they're a friend of a family member. They feel like family, like somebody that, so if there's somebody that feels like family, also there may be somebody that you're not actually looking at like that, you know. It's like, oh well, this person been around forever, that, you know, I wouldn't even think to do that. But if you stopped and thought about it, Whitley Dwayne, okay, there may be more chemistry there than you could imagine, right? This also says to me that, like, if that's not the case, then you want the person to feel like your family. Like, it's more important first for you to have like a friend connection with them than it may be for you to have a sexual connection with someone. Also with the clarity card, someone finally sees the answer that's always right in front of them. This may also be that you finally recognize that, like, I do like this kind of thing, or I do like this kind of person, something that like you may have been pushing off or um not wanting to try in a sense, but that you finally realize that, like, that's what you kind of want to go for, right? And in some cases, some people that looks like you want someone that's like your dad, your brother, your uncle, your sister, your mom, you know what I mean? Like somebody that's around you, you know? And that might be like a weird revelation for you, but like it feels like um you it feels like you may have a better relationship or like a good relationship with either your family in general or certain members of your family. So it's not so far-fetched that you would want someone that's like that, or that you may be with someone who reminds you of one of your family members, and like that may like freak you out a little bit in a sense. Let's get some more cards in terms of the message for right now. So we have new chapter. A fresh start is always good for everyone. Doors are opening for this new phase within your love life. Okay. So it's like there's this aspect too of just like being open, just being open to whatever could be, being open to allowing things in, being open to being surprised by who it could be. Um, then we have devotion, a dedicated partner whose love is unconditional and eternal. Yeah, again, it's like this family feeling, like this person feels like family. This person feels like you could know them, you could have known them for a really long time. Or it's somebody that you knew before that is coming back or came back in. And again, you may not really look at them like that, but like you should be open to what could be. You should be more open um to seeing them as someone different. Hmm, this is interesting. Let's see if there's anything else. Inner fears. As you face your inner fears, you recognize what is holding you back from attracting a healthy and loving relationship with others and yourself. Okay. So that has been running through all of our readings, in terms of the inner fear. What could be holding oh, and that's interesting too. What could also be holding you back? Okay, two things. What could be holding you back is your family and friends, right? So like not having the support of your family and friends, or being scared that you're not going to have the support of your family and friends in terms of um dating certain people or having a certain connection that you may already have, or like if you want to get with someone, you may feel like they're going to judge or talk shit or like um disapprove of whoever it is, and that might be stopping you. Then we have clarity under the inner fears. And so part of your inner fear may be like you clouding shit. It may be you like putting things onto things that aren't actually there, or like running yourself in circles about what ifs or things like that, and muddying up something that doesn't have to be, you know? Like, I hope that makes sense. The last card you have on the bottom is Law of Attraction. We attract what we are. Use the law of attraction to manifest your quote unquote perfect match by being the perfect match to yourself first. And that is part of what I said in the last reading. We didn't get this card, but this is one of the things that I said. So if you were drawn to pile two, definitely maybe watch that. But it just feels like things are gonna go, like if you're not dating already, you're definitely, things are about to happen if you keep yourself open, if you sit in what you want, and sit in the idea that what you want is coming, and that person is coming, and that you don't need to be scared of what will happen or what people will think. If it's a situation where you already know the person, it's like leave yourself open to the possibilities of what could happen, and like allow yourself to have a little bit of dreamy aspect to it, you know? Because it definitely, all of these cards just feel really warm, and like the other piles kind of were given, they like some of them had sexuality, and we had like marriage and devotion energy, but this really does feel like almost like lifetimes. Like I don't really use twin flame ass language. I think that we don't have to get into what I think about it, but it kind of feels like that, you know, like we've done this lifetimes before, like, you know, soulmates. That's a better word. Thank you, Spirit. Soulmate type energy. So this is what I'm getting for the message you need directly right now. Let's get a few cards into like what you can do to help bring this in or like move through this energy. Okay, so for this part of the reading, we are using the Clarity deck. And we are asking what you need to do to get more aligned with this energy. Anything else besides nucleus? Okay. I never do this, but those were, we got those cards last fall. And I shuffled. Y'all watch me. You sat here and watched me shuffle. So I'm gonna just, okay. Here we go. The Rebel. So wait, let's get into our cards. We have the nucleus. Oh, can't pick it up. Do you want to build your life around this issue, feeling, value, or person? How can you decentralize that which you don't want to build around and center that which you do want at the heart of your life? Okay. So we talked a lot about that, more so in the aspects of like, what do you want, sitting in what you want, not allowing your fears to block you, right? Um, to me, with the law of attraction, the inner fears, the new chapter, the clarity, it's like we need to sit and focus more so, like it said, decentralizing what we want, but focusing more on what you want to build a life around, what that would look like, what you want to attract. You have the opportunity and the knowing that you have this new chapter coming. So, like, what is it that you want to draw in? Not what you don't want, but what you do want, right? Then you have tasks. What do you tell yourself when you look at your to do list? What does this teach you about the beliefs you hold regarding your capacity, the people in your world, and what is expected of you? How is all of this keeping you stuck? To me, that's in terms of um, what we want to build a life around and things like that. That's focusing on what, not just what your partner brings, but what they would bring into your life that would help enhance your life, right? We're coming into situations where we want to, especially in at a certain age, right? We're coming into situations where we want people to bring real help and partnership to our life, right? And so, looking at the things that you have to do every day, what would look different if you had a partner? How would you want that to look different? Not in terms of how it has in the past or in the framework that it has in the past, but really what would you need help with? What would you want someone to do? How would you want them to enhance or to help or to fulfill certain parts of your day that you don't have fulfilled now without a partner? Like, this is part of what it looks like to um, build, see, like, to figure out what you want to build your life around, to center at the heart of what you want in your life, like the nucleus card talks about. Okay. It's also, like I said, looking into the mundane and the everyday and how that person would play into that. You then have the rebel card. I'm going to go there and then I'll go to doubt. The rebel. Where are you following rules you don't care about or really believe in anymore? Okay, so like I said in the last card, in certain cases, there are frameworks that people are basing future situations on that aren't true. Like, again, if you are sitting in the spirit of discernment and you're sitting in the lessons and the knowledge that you've attained from those lessons, you shouldn't attract the same people anymore. So you shouldn't even think of it in the same framework because you don't want that. And if you think of it like that, then you will just get that. You will wind up back into situations that you don't want, right? And in certain situations, there's also like societal rules that come into play in terms of what you don't believe anymore. So, like, for example, there's this book that I love called The Empath Survival Guide. And there's a chapter in there where she talks about relationships. And one of the things she talks about is that empaths are people who really need their space. And so in certain relationships, there's empaths that, live in separate homes from their long term partner. Or they have separate bedrooms, and that's what works for them. And society would tell you that, like, that's not a real relationship. Or maybe they'd say, like, those people are going through something, or they're not, gonna be really sexual together because they have different beds or whatever the fuck they would come up with, right? But if you don't prescribe to that, then that doesn't matter. Like, your relationship and what you're looking for in this next chapter should look like what you want it to look like and nothing else. It shouldn't be based on anything that anybody else says or thinks. It should be solely based on you and what you feel and what you want and how you want to be loved and how you want to show up and love them. Okay. Then the last card you have is doubt. Where is your faith lacking? How does this connect to the ways in which you are stuck? What would help you to build up the faith you need in order to take the steps necessary? Excuse me. Let me read that again because I don't know where my mind was. Where is your faith lacking? How does this connect to the ways in which you are stuck? What would help you to build up the faith you need in order to take a step that is edgy but necessary? Okay. I think we kind of talked about that a little bit and what you want, but I feel like when you sit and figure out what you want, you'll start to hear how your faith is lacking. You'll start to hear where your fears come up, and where you need to build that up, or where you need to reinforce for yourself that that's not true, and that you can have this or that, or that it doesn't have to be this or that. In terms of taking an edgy step, I feel like that's just you sitting in the idea of you not being in that rebel, or you being in that rebel place and not following those rules that you'll figure out that you've been following, or that you've been um, believing in, that you really don't believe anymore. That shit doesn't, you know, you just don't prescribe to anymore. So this is kind of what I'm getting for that. I hope that this makes sense. It makes sense to me. Y'all let me know how it hits for y'all, and we're gonna move into some words of wisdom. Okay, y'all, we're getting into the words of wisdom. I did not realize that my phone died when I was shuffling, so these are the cards we have. We have the humorous and the alchemist. So the refreshing joy, exhilaration, and skill learned from creative play and laughter are their own reward and can help solve problems. This to me has to do with what we were talking about in terms of attracting what you want, and law of attraction, excuse me, not sitting in your fears, clarifying, being clear on what we want, but also knowing that we want to have fun, we want romance, we want um, to have it be light and easy. And so part of that is like moving in that vein, right? Allowing yourself to feel that way when you're out here and you're dating, or when you're thinking about dating, or when you're thinking about what you want, or what you're drawing in, or what you could have, or what your future looks like, right? It's all supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be super serious, or super or feel like work, or taxing, or anything like that. So like I feel like that's part of where those words of wisdom come in. Then we have the alchemists. Our enchanted world provides the means for transforming laden aspects of daily life into golden experiences available to all. So, again, like we were talking about before, there's part of it and part of us that sits in like very serious, very black or white, and certain aspects of love and relationships. There's part of you that may look at things in like a gray, jaded space. And we really need to sit in that like Neptunian, dreamy, enchanted romance um energy, like bringing in, like it said with the law of attraction, what you actually want into your daily life, thinking about that in terms of, like I said, when you think about dating, when you think about your future, when you think about what you want, when you come home, or when we were talking about before of the things that you want the person to do for you daily, like when you have those experiences, think to yourself like, oh, I can't wait until that person is there to do this with me, or I can't wait till I come home and they have this prepared. And don't think of it in like a ugh, like what the fuck, I don't have it kind of way, but think about it in like a can't wait, a dreamy, a romanticized kind of way, so that you're calling in these golden experiences, because like it says, they're available to all. And you've already gotten these cards, the devotion, the law of attraction card, the new chapter, that tells you that all of this is available to you. It can come to you, but you have to be open to it. You have to put yourself out there. You have to um, be available for these new experiences, and be open to these new experiences, and be open to who it could be, family and friends, going back to that, and where this love could come from, and knowing that it is there and that you are going to have it. So these are the messages for your words of wisdom and for your love reading, pile three. Definitely let me know what you think, how love has been treating you, what you think about this message. Like and share with anybody that you think may need it. Comment. If you haven't already, listen to our tiny collective reading on Substack. We have our fairy tale reading out now. If you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. I have two different reading offerings right now. And yeah, like I said, let me know how y'all think about all of this. I'm definitely curious to see where y'all are at with it. And if you come back to it, let me know, like, how things hold true. So thank y'all again for reading with me. I appreciate y'all so much. And I will see you in the next reading.